Yo, what's up everybody? It's your boy Kosher, and you are now listening to From the East Side with Love. Please check out our website, FTESWL.com, where you'll find up-to-date news about sports, entertainment, and social topics. Also, please subscribe to us on iTunes and SoundCloud. It's going to be where your heart resides and your ears listen. FTESWL.com.
Oh, what's up, everybody? You are now listening to From the East Side with Love. As always, it's your boy Kosher, and I got Jimmy V right next to me. What's up, Jimmy V?
Hey, what's going on, Kosher, man? How you feeling?
Bro, it's another day, another life, in sunny Cali. And, we had to do this again, guys. We have a very special guest, the creator, the mastermind of Blue Collar Hustle. Yeah, that web series. You guys know about that web series. My man, the one and only Ziggy. What's poppin', Ziggy?
Hey, how you doing, man? Good to be back. Always a pleasure to be on the show.
Hailing all the way from Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Hey, well, Ziggy, it's our first show together, man. So welcome, of course.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here with two of you this time. 'Cause I've been listening to the show for a while, so I've been meaning to really want to get on with both of you at the same time.
Appreciate it, bro. So, Ziggy, Jimmy V, last time Kendrick had dropped something that we could review. We had JC on, and Ziggy had some free time to come on the show, and we did Untitled Unmastered. Okay, so that was last season, early last season. When did Untitled Unmastered drop? Around February of last year?
Yeah, it was like
right after the Grammys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so February of last year it dropped, and I would love to tell you guys today, just a show itself without guests, just us guys talking, that was our most successful show, okay? That hit over 1,200 listens.
Dope.
Pretty much went viral on our
Wow.
Yeah, on our episode. So, Ziggy, I would be remiss if I say if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have made that. So the people love to hear your voice. You can obviously see that through your show, and every time you do have time to write a piece about reviews or whatnot, he comes through and he blesses it, and the views on the site go extremely well. So for that, it was only right that an official album drops, with Kendrick, called Damn, period. and we had to get Ziggy back on, and Jimmy V, obviously, you've been the right hand man for a time coming, and basically this is what we all wanted to hear. This Kendrick Lamar bringing out an album, and would he be able to deliver? Because from Section 80 all the way to Good Kid, Mad City, follows it up by To Pimp a Butterfly, and now we have Damn, period. And so I guess that would be his third album. I don't believe Section 80 or Total Unmastered are considered albums. I know they got sales, but I wouldn't consider them albums. And
I think in his discography, I think he considers Section 80 probably an album, maybe not Untitled Unmastered. Okay. I don't know. I know a lot of fans do.
I consider it an album per se, but I
feel like Section 80 was more of a mixtape too. Matter of fact,
I felt it was like you know what, that's not.
It's kind of like I guess if you want to debate whether or not Drake So Far Gone was actually a mixtape or an album, or J. Cole.
Right, exactly. Good comparison there.
Right. So, I mean, for some people, they hold it dear to their hearts like an album, and for some people it's a mixtape. But I guess what we could really say it's their introduction to mainstream listeners.
Definitely.
Right. And I am going to put, let's see what this discography is. Let me see what it look like real quick, guys, while we are.
What you gonna do, Kosha?
I'm looking at studio albums, like he has 4, and Section 80 is. And what's funny is Section 80 only sold 130,000.
Yeah, see that doesn't sound like Kendrick's numbers right there.
Nah, not as most recent. He's definitely.
I guess we could separate them. We could separate them again, like from albums and then mainstream studio debut. Because it's mainstream studio, but everybody knows it's Good Kid, Mad City.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. And that was, that was basically Interscope ever since then, because Section 80 just released through Top Dog. So this Damned is looking to sell about what 450 to 485 100,000 the first week, and definitely way on its way to make a platinum chart. And what
you feeling over there, man?
I'm taking back from this Kendrick Lamar album. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I am Section 80, and I was talking to Ziggy about this. Section 80, Good Kid, Mad City. Those are both, and you guys are both. Ziggy's from the South, or at least that's where he lives now. Are you from the South originally?
Originally, I'm from Lansing, Michigan. I moved down here to Georgia when I was about 14. So, I mean, you could say I'm from the South. I've been here, most of my formative years.
Okay, so he said he was from Michigan. He probably knows Big Sean by his first name. All right, bro. All right, and then I know Jimmy V is from the East Coast, in particular Brockton, Massachusetts, over there. So, Section 80 and Good Kid, Mad City. Those two albums to me were like LA personified, South LA, just because I'm from Long Beach, and I don't need to say anything else more about Long Beach. You guys know who comes from Long Beach: Crooked Eye, Snoop Dogg, list goes on, and Vince Staples. So, granted, I wasn't too much into like rap and hip hop when I was younger, but I did have a respect for these guys who put it down for the West Coast, and especially Long Beach in particular, 213 and all that. And so I really did like Section 80, especially being an age to accept it in 2011, and then Good Kid, Mad City following it up in 2012. I was like, yo, Kendrick is on the move, and he's speaking West Coast things that I understand because I felt it. Now, I didn't live in Compton, and there was some stuff like as far as gang affiliations. I'm not really with all that. I don't, I've been around it, but that's not who I am. But I got it, and so. But even when I was talking to Ziggy, and I'm sure Jimmy V, like when you guys heard these albums, there were still like I'm sure there's Bloods and Crips, in Michigan or now in Atlanta and in Boston. Now I don't know how heavy the sets are out there. But you understand the gang mentality and just the gang mindset, whether it's not through the 90s movies, the classic movies that were going down, or just, through the blocks. I know big things over there are blocks and how people get down. So, like, I don't know. For me, those two albums really held something for me.
I mean, I could say as far as my first time sitting down to listen to Good Kid, Mad City, as well as Section 80. What brought me in was the skits, especially the one riding around the block with the homies, running up on someone, and just like the story of Good Kid, Mad City, his boy, and ended up getting hit by accident and losing him. That's just normal. See, it doesn't even sound right when I say normal, but that's something common that would happen when you live in the street life, hanging around, driving around, pretty much looking for trouble and whatnot. So he was definitely able to bring the audience in with that one there. And no, I'm not from no street life, Green, and I do know a lot of people within that life. So I was able to relate to it in that way.
Yeah, I would say for me, it was just the storytelling itself. And I remember the first time I listened to Section 80, the one thing that grabbed me was the last song, High Power. And coming from a household where these things were taught to me, by my father as far as pro-blackness and, a sense of self, and some of the names, Fred Hampton and some of the names that he dropped in the song, that really got me to pay attention to him. And then when Good Kid, Mad City came out, I remember I was actually on an Army base in Fort Stewart, Georgia, because I was in the Army, and just listening to that album and really just seeing where he was coming from. And for me, the entire album, it really was, like you said, a short film by Kendrick Lamar. And when I think about it, when I think about the trilogy of albums, the Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, and Damn, to me, Good Kid, Mad City symbolized birth, because he was redeemed at the end of the album. You know, he was saved. You know, he chose faith over destruction. And then you have To Pimp a Butterfly, which is kind of like the life where he's talking about, you know, coming from Compton and going out on tour and going to Africa and living life and just seeing what being a black man is about beyond Compton. And then you have Damn, which is about death. So it's birth, life, and death.
Oh, that's an interesting perspective you got there for Damn. That's interesting. Okay.
You see, this is why I wanted Ziggy to come on the show, because he's out here trying to knock stuff out the park. And not that I didn't want to jump too far into Dan, but it's okay. I get the analogy, the parallels you're going to make. Now, you know, I did have my own theories about, you know, Section 80 being where he, you know, the lifestyle that he was living, Good Kid, Mad City, taking a step back, talking about his childhood, To Pimp a Butterfly, him evolving into becoming a star, and him going into Cocoon, and then to pimp it out, like to make it there. And then it's like, Damn, there's like, for me, is the troubles of becoming a star, and the hell that it can bring as stardom, you know, as stardom takes over, and how can you relate it? Now, we're gonna get into it. This is the review, guys. This is officially the review. Damned, for me, you know, it goes off with the skits. Jimmy V is right. You know, when we talk about Kendrick Lamar, it kind of reminds me of just old time albums where they had skits, and most I wouldn't say most, because I can't speak for most, but at least when I list the artists that I listen to don't necessarily use skits, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but Kendrick Lamar, he incorporates that, and he uses it to push his message subliminally and, you know, consciously through his songs that follow it or, you know, precede it. So you listen to the beginning, and he talks about a story of a blind lady looking for something, and he just watches her fumble, and, you know, he's like, all right, you know, it's time for me to help her out. And then once he helps her out, she's like, yo, you lost something. And then she's like, you lost your life. And then he dies. And then we go through a series of songs. Now it's a 14 track album, and I'm gonna be honest, guys, the first half of the album kind of was not I wouldn't say a chore, but it didn't turn me into like, okay, this is what we're like. I didn't really like it. I'm gonna be honest. At least I'm gonna say, as I look at the album now, I'm gonna go all the way down to Feel. Now, Element and DNA, okay, those songs are cool. Blood, yeah. Feel, I wasn't feeling the feel at all. Not now. Not when I first heard it. Okay. Loyalty, I was like, okay, I can see that being a
record single, right?
Yeah, I can see that being a record single. I can see that being the radio single.
Yeah.
Pride is cool. Humble, obviously, we already know what that did in the streets.
Yeah.
Lust was like, it was kind of hit or miss for me. Like, sometimes it's like, sometimes it's cool. I know you guys probably gonna be like, what the hell is he gonna say about love and everything else? Love was actually my favorite song on the album.
Matter of fact, that's been the most played song I've played off the album yet.
And, you know, a lot of people don't like Love, and I can understand it. Then we have Triple X, and a lot of people like Triple X, especially the second verse and the way he conveys the whole story. And then there's Fear, which I felt like was a dark-ish song, and correct me if I'm wrong. 'Cause we'll go through it a little bit more deeply. Obviously, I'm just running through it for right now. God, which I don't know. I feel like I like God. I like God, but I feel like it could have been a little bit more. And maybe that's me. And then there's Duckworth, which has a beautiful story of what could have happened if Top Dog killed his father, and how Kendrick Lamar wouldn't have been where he is today. And I thought that was pretty tight just because of how everything kind of plays into literally at the end of Duckworth, it goes back to the beginning and how he just wraps it up. But I was confused. I'm not gonna lie. Like I read a couple of things online trying to figure out what this album meant. I had talked to Ziggy right when it dropped, and I don't know what time it was for Ziggy. I mean, it must have been 3 a.m. and my man was faithful on listening to it. And I was like, I don't know if I really like this album. I can't understand it because I understood what Section 80 was about. I saw what Good Kid, Mad City was about. Again, the Pepper Butterfly. I got the themes. I got what was going on. Damn, I was confused, and I'm still honestly confused. Now, again, I listened to. I was talking to Ziggy, and he brought up the death theory and how it related to him and how it was touching him because of particular things in his life. And so, I'm not in the same situation as he is, so it wasn't touching me like that. And especially when like a song called Love, like that's not, love and death, that can be synonymous in the way that you can love somebody that died. But that's not what I was taking from Love or anything like that. And so I was like, okay, like what can I get from this album? And then you guys hear this nasty rumor of a second album coming, guys. But before we get into the second album, I want to hear you guys' thoughts. Jimmy, or you know what? Yeah, Ziggy, you take it away, bro.
You want me to take it away? I was going to let Jimmy talk before I talk.
Oh, man, Ziggy is the guest here, man. Do your thing.
Okay. So for me, what the album represents, again, I know, you and me spoke about this, and, for the last couple of days, what I've been trying to do is try to separate how I feel objectively about the album to how I feel personally, because, I kind of feel a personal connection to this album and what I feel like it represents, for the simple fact that about 2.5 weeks ago, I lost my father. And, me and my father were very close, and, it was very sudden for me, although when I sat back and thought about it, what my father was going through with his health, it wasn't really sudden. It was just something that when while my father was, losing his health, I was running around trying to make a web series and putting all my energy into that. So there was a lot of guilt that went into, my father's death and how I processed it. And so when I listened to Damn, and when I hear the first song to the last song, I hear a lot of guilt in Kendrick Lamar's lyrics and in the music itself and what he's trying to portray for me. So for me, the album is a examination of death and how that affects you and everyone around you, your death or the death of a loved one or just death in itself. So when I listen to the first song, and what I was telling you with Blood is, I feel like the first song is basically when he's trying to help the old woman and she kills him. That is representative of Kendrick Lamar, how he would have been naive as a human being if he hadn't had his father in his life, and that ties into the last part of Duckworth, where he says, I grew up without a father and died in a gunfight. And it goes back. It's showing you how he would have died without his father because he didn't have his father to peep him to game. And if he's blaming, Top Dog for his father's death and Top Dog's in jail, he didn't have any other father figure, which he always says that Top Dog is. So growing up without a father figure, he's naive. He doesn't know what's going on in the world. And that ultimately, transitions to him losing his life. Like a lot of young black men lose their way in life when they don't have fathers or they don't have male figures to step up and show them the way of the world. So to me, the album is an examination of death. So when you go throughout the entire album and he's talking about things like basically when we go into DNA and you're talking about how, Fox News tried to vilify him, for his performance of All Right in the BET Awards. That's basically almost like a crucifixion. They crucified him and he's coming back now saying no. And anybody with common sense needs to understand what it is I'm saying. And then we go to Ya. Ya was the first song that I listened to and I really liked it. And lyrically, when he was talking about, don't call me black anymore, I'm an Israelite and all that. At first I had a knee-jerk negative reaction to it. Because I'm of the opinion that we as Black people should not be running from our Blackness, and anything that we try to latch on to that says we are not Black, to me, is negative. But I listened to it within the context of the album, and him being, a Christian and relying so much on his faith. I would be a hypocrite to say I enjoy a song like How Much a Dollar Costs, which was, my previous favorite Kendrick Lamar song, but then turn around and say I hate this, because they all go hand in hand with his Christianity and his faith. And then you go into Pride, which is self-explanatory, humble, lust, love, everything that we go through in life that we're afraid to lose. And then it culminates for me with fear, and, he tells a story from 7 years old to 17 to 27, where he talks about the fear of losing these things, the fear of his mother whooping him, the fear of losing his life just being a 17-year-old living in the world, or the fear of losing his fortune, through mishandling his finances. So to me, everything in this album kind of directly or indirectly deals with the theme of death. And then you go to the last song where you have Duckworth, and he really, really brings it home. And it's really a parable. The album in itself to me is a parable, for the decisions that we make. If Top Dog hadn't made the decision to spare, his father, then what we have is we don't have Kendrick Lamar, the hip hop superstar. So to me, the album is just a parable of death. And I love it. I really, really love it. And it really speaks to me on a personal level.
Nice. Okay. I definitely understand where you are coming from. I like the fact that he takes us on a journey. But what really got me at first I couldn't understand. But if you see the way he's labeled the track list, blood, DNA, Yah, element, feel, loyalty. I thought, why choose these specific titles for the records, right? Because there's like lust, humble, fear, God. All those are majorly discussed in the Bible, if I'm not incorrect, right? Especially when it comes to the commandments and such. So then, when I actually sat down to actually listen to the full album, just like Kosha mentioned, it didn't really hit me until I got to about track 3 or with Yah, or I remember first making that face like, ooh, this is something big, until I got to the track Loyalty, like we mentioned, record on the radios and such, right? But then when I went back after listening to it the first time and actually, really taking in the lyrics and things like that, that's when many things definitely hit home. For example, inside the track D, and then he mentions a lot about loyalty and just how that's embedded in him. And then as we continue to see within album to album, he continues to speak about his team, those around him, keeping the right people. So he obviously makes it clear that loyalty is big within life and then everything that he is actually doing. But as the album continues, he's got tracks and songs that reflect off of loyalty too. Once again, loyalty featuring Rihanna. He talks about pride as well, if that's something that's good or bad, if he's using it in the right way. And then as we continue down, the songs that really hit home for me go as far as humble, lust, love. I mean, those actually fall right in the same track list, 8, 9, and 10. But I deal with, on a personal level, just as I try to get within the entertainment industry and everything, you've got this much talent, you believe in yourself so much, and you just want to be competitive. But at the same time, where is the line that you're crossing where you go from being humble to being cocky? How much sure can you believe in yourself to it starts to offend other people. And then it goes into lust and love, which are two opposites. Obviously lust is just straight up, sex. Love is, something that we all look for in another person. So then him just being able to speak on topics that really hit home to a lot of people was great. And I remember speaking with Kosha, we spoke about Chance's Chance's project, about incorporating God within it, and that brought the rap game to a whole different lane. I felt like, and we did review the album a week out, and to see how much that album has changed the game because he did incorporate God, and then I see how Kendrick continues to incorporate God within his albums too. I feel like this album here is going to start off slow, but is going to begin to rise as far as listens and people talking about it as the weeks are to come, when the lyrics and records actually start to hit home with people. Because granted, we are still within the first weekend. Kosher knows how I feel about reviewing albums within the first, 48 hours or so. But granted, this is what people are talking about, so it's got to be done. But overall, it's a great album. I feel like it's on the same level as the To Pimp a Butterfly. Will it win as many awards? I think it's too early to say, but it's definitely got numerous records that we will hear a lot of people refer to within the upcoming weeks, man.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with everything you're saying, Jimmy V and Ziggy, and I want to say, we're both sorry for your father's untimely death.
Thank you.
And
definitely, man.
Yeah, and so we thank you for taking some time out to just be with us, man, and speaking about this album, because I know it's not easy for you to be doing things that would naturally be fun for you, but right now you're probably not in the most jovial mood right now. So again, thank you for taking some time out and sharing some of your thoughts about this album. But and I was thinking, two of your favorite artists, if I can say that, Ziggy, when J. Cole and Kendrick dropping things that relate to you, like really on a personal level, especially For Your Eyes Only, and now we have Damned, and with the times you having a newborn, and then now with Damned, and like again, the timely death of your father. I could see how these albums are like you're like this is what I'm going through. Of course I'm gonna feel this album, at the time.
Right.
And so I was just thinking about it. I was like, damn, like you can't tell this man that these guys did no wrong, and not that they did,
Right.
or didn't. But it's just like I was just like, wow, and I'm not saying that hip hop has saved your life, as Lupe would have said it, but there are things that there are times where albums can literally get you through some stuff. Like I remember listening to 808 and Heartbreaks, and that was a perfect time for me. Like it was such a great album at that time, going through the feelings that I was feeling in the situation. I had broke up with my girl at the time, my ex, and so Kendrick came through, and then listening to the Love Below and how he Andre 3000 was listening, was dropping his feelings about relationships, and that's a great album even till this day.
FTESWL.com.
I look at this album and just looking at the way everything is set up, like there was a strategy behind the way he puts pride before humble, and
Right.
and lust before love, and fear before God. I'm surprised he didn't just come out with a song called Damn, to be honest, because I thought Damn could have been before God, but it is what it is. It's fear. And And so I could see the challenges that Kendrick was going through. And I was talking to Ziggy about this, and I was like, I don't know how spiritual this album is. As far as it's definitely spiritual, but I think it's more subliminally spiritually spoken about. Whereas Good Kid, Mad City, The Pimp and Butterfly, Untitled and Master to a point, they were all like straight at you with his Christianity, and yes, there's that famous line in Yeah where he talks about, don't call me black no more, I'm an Israelite, call me an Israelite. And, again, if you understand the way Christians see themselves as everybody's a Gentile that's not a Hebrew, and the Hebrews are, Israelites, and they're God's chosen people. And like, I got it. Like, I get it. And to me, this album was, to me, it wasn't easy. It's not easy to digest. And the reason why I say that is because I got the concept of everything else that came before this. I'm still trying to wrap my mind. And, again, talking to Ziggy, reading other theories online, my mind about what the heck is going on through Kendrick at this time. What is he trying to portray? What is the messages that he is going through, or what is the message that he's trying to say, and what is he going through right now? Like, when I was listening to For Your Eyes Only, J. Cole's album,
you hated it.
I hated it, and I still do to this day. But you understood his story. He was talking about and a lot of people were saying that he was saying it through his friend's eyes, and about his kid, about the kid and looking after the kid, the daughter, and things of that nature. And I kind of wrapped my head around that theory, and I was like, okay, I get. But I'm gonna say it should have been, that album should have been for one person, and that it wasn't. I don't think it was something to be embraced by all. Now, congratulations to that man. He just got over 1 million.
Platinum.
Yeah, he went platinum, I believe, last week. So congratulations to him, because I didn't.
Also, too, he just recently dropped the visual for Your Eyes Only last night as well, a special on HBO.
Okay.
Yep, I saw it last night. It was pretty good.
Okay, so that was on Saturday. I don't think the show's gonna air today on Sunday. Happy Easter.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Happy Easter, everybody. He is risen. So, but if not, then at least guys, look out for that HBO special. And so, and I think I shared with both you, Ziggy and Jimmy, the article from New York Times, him talking about him owning his own masters and all that, and why he put out For Your Eyes Only, basically, and what his mindset was. I don't know what Kendrick's mindset is right now. He hasn't talked about it, just like how J. Cole wasn't talking about it. And so I'm interested to hear his own analysis of this album and why he put it out. And but if we go back to the street singles, okay, The Hard Part 4, and then we hear Humble. Now, when I heard and I think honestly The Hard Part 4 is one of my favorite Kendrick songs. Like, just to hear The Hard Part 4, and it's so funny. It's so funny how things just change within 2 weeks. When you first heard The Hard Part 4, everybody's like, oh, it's shots at Big Shot, it's shots at Drake. And then you hear Humble, it's shots at Big Shot again. And then now Damn drops, and everybody's all like, everybody just
where's it at, right?
Yeah, everybody forgets those theories. And now it's like, oh, okay, he just dropped the album, and it's totally different. I want to say it's way different than what he's dropped before, because the way he formatted it, and I don't know, like, to me it's like the sun's there, right? But then there's clouds in the way. That's my analogy. There's clouds in the way, and for me it's like, damn, like, I love. Like, you guys don't understand how many times I play that song, dude. Like,
bro, you don't understand. Right before I hopped on this podcast, I wiped my eyes and I turned that song on, man.
I see it getting a lot of, like, I guess Kendrick fans are like, yo, like, I see it torn. Like I see people like it, but they're like, that's not really Kendrick. And then I see a lot of people like getting at like lust and stuff like that, and I'm just like, yeah, man.
You know what, Coach? I'm actually glad you brought that up. Because there's a thing when we listen to artists as consumers, man. We're so used to hearing one thing, and that's what we liked from them from jump. So we don't like to see, artists venture onto different topics. That's like a gangster rapper always rapping about guns and stuff, and then he starts talking about love, right? We give him that what the hell face, But obviously, artists like a Kendrick and a J. Cole, you continue to see with their music, they'll talk about any topic, and they're not afraid of the feedback they'll receive, whether it's numbers wise, whether it's negative commentary, whatever. They're both at that level where it's like, all right, I'm the artist. I know the impact I've done, so I'm gonna drop what I want, and y'all can deal with it. So with a track like Love coming from Kendrick, which we haven't heard him speak about the topic of love or even about his girlfriend or his fiance. I'm not even sure his status right now. But just hearing that from him, I feel like it's a breath of fresh air, man.
Yeah. Ziggy, you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, as far as the song itself, I really, really like the song. I really like the song as far as its placement within the album itself. I really think it's a good song. Some people were saying like this song and Element might be like, undercover shot to Drake saying that he can do his style better than him. I don't believe so personally. I think this is just Kendrick branching out musically in a way that is still familiar because, we're used to Kendrick Lamar harmonizing. We're just not used to him doing it in this sort of setting with this sort of production. So I really like the song itself. As far as the meaning of the album, Kendrick actually kind of spoke about it a little bit before the album came out. I think it was in like early March where he talked about, it all comes down to God. That's pretty much what he said. He said it all comes down to God. So when we listen to the album and we're expecting maybe something a little bit more like To Pimp a Butterfly, where he spells it out for you, because throughout To Pimp a Butterfly, as you get to the end, you see as he finishes the poem, he's like, okay, this is where he's coming from, where he doesn't really do that in this. And again, like I said, me personally, for me, I think that the album is a parable for death. And, as we all know, death is a tough process. It's something that's hard for us to process within ourselves. So when we listen to it, it may not always be like, this is the answer. And also when you talk about God and your own personal relationship with the God or the Most High or Allah, whatever you want to call him, putting forth your own personal relationship with God and trying to articulate it may not always come across to other people as something that they can understand. So when we're listening to Kendrick and we're trying to process his thought process, or we're trying to process his mindset or his own spirituality, it may not be something that we automatically get because he's not speaking in a broad sense. He's speaking in a very personal sense.
Yeah, and you know what? Perfect. Because exactly what I was gonna paint the picture. I know it's you're right. It is about God. I read that and that's what I was hearing. And I get that. And so that's why I see the clouds, because I don't understand his relationship. Like you said, in the Paper Butterfly, and that's okay. Like you just keep listening to the album and maybe it'll make sense, maybe it won't, but I still enjoy the music. The Pimp Butterfly, he did spell it out. The Good Kid, Mad City, he spelled it out again, with the lady talking to him, seeing his lifestyle, understanding where he's coming from. I guess seeing that, her being that in the neighborhood and her reaching out and touching him and having, him accept Jesus into his life. And so, every album you can't deny with Kendrick, it's like it's always personal. It's always personal, and he always has stories that he's telling through his life. And this goes to what I guess Ziggy loves about Kendrick, that he's a great storyteller. Now, Ziggy, it stopped. But and the way he can incorporate his storytelling into a song is like, just it's pretty good. Now, I'm not gonna say who's better, but there's a couple of artists that are better, but that's not to throw shade. That's not to throw shade at Kendrick. And it's so funny that we mentioned Drake, the elephant in the room, because between Kendrick and and Drake, these guys are like 1 and 2, or A and AB, or 1A and 1B. And when I did hear Love, when I did hear Element, I did think of Drake. You know, I was like, okay, he can go to Drake lane. But I also thought of 3 Stacks. I also even thought about Kanye. Like, these are artists that are also have done these things, and I could see him, you know, and it's not bad to incorporate these successful artists and, you know, having your own type of scheme or your own style or you know, putting your own stank on it. And so I don't mind that, you know, Kendrick, and I wouldn't say Kendrick hasn't talked about love like that though, because, you know, you can think of one of his biggest songs, radio hits, which was Poetic Justice with Drake. Right. So it's like but it's not like his more pop. He doesn't talk about it norm like you know, he drops Poetic Justice, but then like everything else wasn't, you know, it was about the gang. It's about the gang life, you know. So and it's not like I personally don't listen to Poetic Justice like that. When it first dropped, I was like, oh, this is the dopest thing. But obviously, I'm not like, it got too sappy for me. You know, I was cool with it. But again, with the Kendrick, this album though, it touches me in a different way. That, again, I'm still trying to wrap my head around.
FTESWL.com.
Now let's talk about. We talked about Drake a little bit, unless we have some more things to say. But the bigger elephant in the room, guys, and there was a lot of theories, and people were getting their Sir Isaac Newton on.
Here we go.
And then they were getting their Einstein on, and bruh, like any other genius, their Steve Jobs, their Bill Gates, you know. Dare we say Kanye going on? Like, I mean, people were going on and on and on and on about this theory. And okay, in fairness to what Jimmy V was saying, we don't know. It's still too early, but whatever. I'm gonna drop it. There was supposed to be a second album. Or there is a rumor. I wouldn't say it's supposed to be. There's a rumor that a lot of Kendrick fans and theorists saying that Kendrick was going to drop another album this weekend, the weekend of Damned. By Sunday, he's going to drop another album talking about, I guess, since he had died. If you haven't heard, and if you guys weren't paying attention to the last 40 minutes that we've been talking about, Kendrick dies in Damned. Okay, so if we know what Friday is, on the Easter weekend, it's Good Friday, and unfortunately, if you understand the Christian faith, Jesus, he gets crucified, and he is down for 3 days, and then he gets resurrected. Now, it's weird because, you know, it's unfortunate. It's not really unfortunate that was meant to happen. So it happens for a good reason. And you know, the world changes if you believe that. Okay. We understand Kendrick Lamar has a lot of Christian. You know, his faith is based on Christian roots, and so he was gonna, according to theorists, his album Damned, since he died on Friday, was gonna resurrect and drop another album on Sunday. Now I laugh because, you know, even talking to Ziggy, and Ziggy's like, bruh, like, you know, I don't want to say what Ziggy had said because, you know, I'm gonna leave that to Ziggy. But I was like, you know, and I was listening, and I Jimmy V, I'm gonna tell you this, bruh. I would listen, like, I'm listening to the album, and literally, like, seconds, minutes, I'm gonna go hours to minutes to seconds after the album drops, this theory hits the net, bruh. Literally.
Okay, what's the theory?
That he was gonna drop the second album.
Okay, yeah. I've been hearing speculation, but still waiting on the drop, man.
Yeah, man.
Because it's not gonna happen.
Oh, okay, that's it, right?
It's just not gonna happen. Listen, I love the theory. The theory itself, I read the theory, and I read it, you know, top to bottom. It's a really good theory, but what people are misunderstanding, I believe, is that we're not just dealing with an artist, we're dealing with a record label, you know, and I don't think that any record label is going to let you drop an album on a Friday and then drop a whole new project on a Sunday because Christianity. Like, nah, that's just not how it works. That's not how it works. I mean, labels don't give one damn about, you know, Kendrick want to portray himself as, you know, Jesus resurrecting or
The hip-hop
whatever.
savior.
You know, it's all about dollars and cents. And when you talk about dollars and cents, you know, Future, because people wanted to bring up, you know, the Future thing. Well, Future released an album within a week. You know, so we're not talking about, you know, an album being released within a week. We're talking about an album being released within 3 days of another album on a weekend. I just don't think it's realistic.
You actually do make a good point there, definitely about the record label. What do you think independently though? If he was independent, do you think he would drop something back to back?
If it was just TDE and they were just going to do this again, probably not. Not the way albums are set up nowadays. Unless again it was going to be streaming only. If it was going to be streaming only, then I could see it. But
Right.
again, you have to think about, and again, I come from a retail based background, so you know already when we're talking about leaks, you know the album leaked early, you know because Target, I believe, got the album early and then somebody got it and then leaked it. That's how you got the early leak. Well, generally what happens nowadays is that doesn't really happen anymore. On the release date, you have the stream, and then a couple days later, you know, you have the actual album itself, physical that comes out. So think about, you know, what they would have to actually go through to drop the physical of Damn on Friday, and then say physicals of Nation or whatever you're going to call it, you know, for a Sunday, and a Sunday where most retailers are closed. You know, that's not
right. Yeah.
You know, it just doesn't make any sense.
Oh, look at my man.
Got you.
Bringing the analytics into the game. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I didn't even think about it like that, and that's true. Like, places aren't open, and if he was moving weight like that, there would have been pictures of like the CDs by then. You know, like we got damned. Now, again, like I get it. It would have been like it's a surprise that wasn't a surprise because everybody spoiled it. Literally, like. Damn came out at 9:01 or 9 o'clock, and then this theory came out at 9:01. That's how I believe. Like it was like
right.
It was literally,
right. And then at the same time too, you know, I'm not even mad, you know, because especially the way music is dropped and consumed now, you know, if you were to drop a project on Friday and drop another project on Sunday, everybody would pay more attention to the project that you dropped on that later date. So in a way, he'd be taken away from the project that he drops first. So hey,
bingo.
Let's just enjoy what we got.
Jimmy V.
Exactly. I mean, we're still sitting here talking about, you know, wrapping our minds around this album, and people are talking about another one. Like it doesn't make sense.
Right. And I don't know if Ziggy's just trying to take a shot at me because he already got the album. He understands the album. I still don't. But
no shot.
Nah, but you see, for me, it's exactly Jimmy V, and I would be mad because, and I wrote this on the Collie. I was like, yo, this second album talk theory is killing this album right now. I'm
sorry, Kosha, but you know what it is? This just hit my mind as a blogger myself. You know, somebody probably just made this just to get their clicks up, man.
And they did a great job.
Yeah, right.
They did a great job. They were taking tweets that were, you know, I believe Top Dog, I think he was talking about other things like the leak that got leaked. He was talking about how, what if I told you that wasn't the official version? And
that was Soundwave.
Oh, that was Soundwave. And then I was seeing, I don't know if it was Photoshop things. I mean, I know girls Photoshop, but now niggas are just Photoshopping albums on iTunes saying pre-release. Like, I'm seeing all this stuff, and I'm like, damn, you really can't believe the internet anymore. Like, whichever blogger or God knows who came up with this theory, I mean, it was an elaborate theory, okay? Like, this guy literally was, you know, doing some Breaking Bad Walter White type science, and then like, yo, this is how it's all gonna drop, and they, you know, was it the other color, TOC, and how it relates back to the Heart Part 4, and how Kendrick Lamar, you know, like, you know what? Let me look for this theory. Does anybody have it offhand, real quick? Google Kendrick Lamar.
I'm searching Twitter right now.
Kendrick.
You mean the Kendrick Lamar theory?
Yeah, Kendrick Lamar theory. You know, you saw like the notes Like the way the guy broke it all the way down. The Kendrick Lamar Theory second album.
Yeah, I know what you're talking. Yeah. Where Soundwave's like, "What if I told you it's not the official version?" And talking about the red pill and the blue pill, and the red pill represents Bloods, and the blue pill represents Crips,
Yep.
and dropped one classic, come right back, another classic, come right back. I mean, again, these are just things that if you want to make it make sense, then it can make it make sense. But there's a logical explanation for everything that's on here.
Okay, so
that doesn't include an album.
I found it. Okay, so I'm gonna break it down for everybody real quick. All right, Soundwave tweets, but what if I told you that's not the official version, as Ziggy was saying, followed by a picture of Morpheus from The Matrix. In the reflection of his glasses, it shows him holding one pill in each hand, blue and red. Kendrick's picture on Spotify has changed to him in the front of a blue bricked wall. On the Heart Part 4, Kendrick says, "I said it's like that. Dropped one classic, came right back. Another classic, right back. My next album, the whole industry on an ice pack with TOC. You see the flames. The TOC, the other color. That's what the acronym stands for. He just dropped Damn, and he's coming right back to drop another classic. TOC equals the other color. First song of Damn is Blood, red, Crip, blue. Matches the blue brick theme and is also the other color. Kendrick dies in Damn. Damn is released on Good Friday, the same day Jesus did. Jesus was resurrected 3 days later on Easter Sunday. Kendrick's album of him resurrecting may release Sunday. Initial reports of Damn showing up on iTunes showed a release date of 4/16 Easter Sunday before it was changed to 4/14. The M on Damn could represent the devil's horns above Kendrick. If the other album is Nation, the O would be above Kendrick, representing a halo. The first track list is like, is it wicked? Is it weakness? You decide. Are we gonna live or die? Is Kendrick saying that we decide which album we want to believe? Damn, the one where he dies, or Nation, the one where he lives. Tracklist acronym is Death to the Leader. Hey man.
Yeah, that is an over analyzer right there. I mean, if there was an award for research, give it to this man here. Wow.
Hey, man. I mean, is this
a lot of theories?
It's a lot of theories, and is this as far-fetched as what we were talking about when he was taking shots at Drake or Big Sean? Like, especially when Humble dropped, I feel like everybody was saying that was a shot to Big Sean, and then I was like, and I really didn't want to jump on it like that. I mean, I could kind of see it, but if I want to be honest with both of you guys, when I heard No More Interviews, and I didn't listen to it until people kept drawing it back to No More Interviews, okay? When I listened to No More Interviews, I didn't listen to it when it dropped. I thought that was a pretty hard diss song, if that was what they were saying, okay? And I felt like Kendrick really didn't go at him if he was really trying to go at him. And I don't like how when we heard No More Interviews, people were like, "Oh, that's dope." He released 2 songs. I think he released that and Bounce Back around the same time, and nobody said anything. No, I at least I didn't hear anybody saying like, "Oh, he's taking shots at Kendrick." Like, I didn't hear that. But as soon as Kendrick responds, quote unquote, people started going at like, "Oh, Big Sean's and Big Sean can't handle Kendrick and yada yada yada," and they started drawing comparisons, and Complex was on there like drawing analysis. This is why this would happen. This is what had this happened. And I thought it was I kind of read into it, but then especially now when you hear the album, I'm like, I don't know if this is really what was going on in Kendrick's head. Maybe a little bit, but still, I don't feel it. And now when I was reading that theory that I just read to you guys, I'm like, what a clever theory. But I don't think that's what Kendrick really means. Like, that is, I mean, it's dope. But again, when we talk dollars, as Ziggy was saying, and we talking about cents, it doesn't make sense, and it's not going to make dollars for Kendrick or Interscope or Top Dog to do what the fans want. And on top of that, if like what you said, Jimmy V, it's going to kill the wave of Damn. It's going to kill it, and that'll be unfortunate because Kendrick Lamar anytime he drops a project, it stays in my rotation for a long time. And if anything, it could have just been if Kendrick Lamar wanted to drop 2 things, it could have been a double disc.
Right, exactly.
Or it could have been a playlist like Drake. And maybe people don't want to ride the Drake wave right now, not do playlist. Fine, whatever. But in all reality, it could have been a double disc. And so,
right.
I just feel like the theorists and the people that were waiting for the second album to drop, like they were robbing themselves off 24 hours or however many hours of listening to this album. And I'm not saying listening to it for all 24 hours or whatnot, but I'm just saying like it's like you guys were like undermining what the album we had before, and I think it did a disservice, honestly, for this album because like I know it's gonna do well in the first week sales, and we're gonna forget about it like the next week and the week after that, and it's gonna be a distant memory. But like I was like 99% sure that another album was not gonna drop today, but at 1% I was like, because I was really curious to hear the next album. Like, I'm not gonna lie,
I was 100% sure.
I was curious. Yeah. I was curious to see what that other album was because just off the fact, Ziggy, was that this was death. So life, what would life bring? You feel me?
Well, that's what I'm telling you. We already got life. It was called To Pimp a Butterfly.
I like I see. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I got. I can see that, yeah.
I mean, again, my thing is this man has given us 3 incredible albums in 3 years. So, again, the point is that when he puts something out, like you said, he wants it to be digested as is. So if they were going to put out, a double album, he would just put out a double album. Or he put out 2 albums on the same day and do a Nelly. But again, like I said, the 2 albums, 3 days thing, and like I said, it was a great theory. Shout outs to whoever, did all that research. But at the end of the day, it just didn't make any common sense. I think that Damn is the complete project that Kendrick Lamar wants us to be talking about and digesting and debating. And I think it's more than worthy of that.
Let me ask you this. J. Cole drops. Big Sean drops. Drake drops. Kendrick Lamar drops. Okay. Basically, I wouldn't say they're all in the same class, with Big Sean probably being a little bit under. Just far as popularity wise, whether it's talent wise, you could interchange either one for depending on preference or whatnot, and we know that it looks like Drake probably went already platinum. J. Cole did go platinum as of last week. Kendrick most likely will go platinum. I'm not sure where Big Sean will go. Possibly not platinum, maybe like high goldish. But within the last, it's not even 6 months. I want to say 6 months, but it's literally 5 months. We have all these guys who dropped. They're showing they want to be in they're all vying for that Grammy talk. And so even with Untitled Unmastered, Kendrick was in the Grammy talk. And that wasn't even an album. Are you guys excited for the future of of 2017, knowing that Drake already said that he's not dropping another album? J. Cole does what he wants. We do know that he has the J. Cole and Kendrick collaboration. God knows when that's going to drop, if that ever drops. And Kendrick is not the type to drop other albums back to back. Are you guys excited for the future 2017, or is this was like, all right, well, we're gonna have to keep these albums close because ain't nothing else coming? I mean, yes, there's Kendrick.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited. I mean, you got Nas who confirmed he's coming out with an album. I've been waiting for that album since 2012. AZ is prepping Do or Die 2. Ghostface might drop. I hope GZA drops Dark Matter, which he's been holding on to for like the last decade. Wale is still dropping next month. I'm a huge Wale fan. So, there's a lot of good hip-hop to look forward to in 2017, and plus things that we don't know about that haven't even been announced yet.
he didn't mention Kanye, so we're gonna have to mention Kanye.
I don't know if Kanye's gonna drop this year. I don't know if TurboGrafx 16 is gonna drop this year. Okay. I would definitely be looking forward to it.
Okay.
I'm definitely glad you just mentioned those albums there, because prior to you speaking about it, Kosha, I was the opposite. I was unexcited if that's the case, because granted, the majority, I'll say right now, that I do listen to are the names that were just dropped, and being that they've already dropped albums in 2017, what else do I have to look forward to? But now that, luckily, as Ziggy over here broke it down for me there, I guess I look forward to hearing something new then, besides, the same old chart-topping artist then.
Yeah, and I don't want to take any. I just remember Rick Ross is supposed to drop Port of Miami 2 at the end of the year as well. So Rick Ross, Rick Ross will be dropping 2 albums this year supposedly. And so obviously Meek Mill might drop something. You did mention Wale dropping something next month. So maybe Chance drops something. So there's definitely music, but knowing that these guys right here are pretty much like the leaders of the new school, how, what's going to happen right now? I think it's interesting too about the theory, if I may go back to it. I know Kendrick is at Coachella with Schoolboy Q, and so if anything is going to happen, it's going to happen at Coachella. Okay, if Kendrick dares to drop anything new, and Kendrick and J. Cole are known for this. They're known to drop things that aren't on albums. We'll call them freestyles, and because that's what they've just been clarified as, because there's no really title to them. As we, the famous J. Cole on Stephen Colbert's freestyle, Kendrick Lamar, I think had dropped one as well. And so, what better stage? Coachella being huge, especially on the West Coast. If Kendrick's gonna do anything, he has the platform and the stage to do it. And so I expect Kendrick to be, bumping and rapping this album. But if anything is going to come in the future, it'd be wise to watch the Coachella stream or at least catch the recap. Because if he's gonna do anything, I think it will be at that stage. Well, whichever performer the headliner. So I don't know if he's doing both weekends, but I think if anything's gonna happen, it would be that'd be the place he would debut it at, if that makes any sense.
Well, from what I've seen, he's working on something special for the show, as in the performance itself. Not anything as far as new music wise, new album or anything like that. But from what I've seen on his, I think it was his Twitter or Instagram handle, he's working on something really, really special for to make the show itself something that's special. So, yeah, I'm excited for that. I'll be paying attention to the feed, and I'll definitely be listening to the album more over the upcoming week. We actually go back into production for Blue Collar Hustle next weekend. So we'll actually be filming the 4th episode.
Woo!
Oh, yeah. We made it. We're coming back, baby.
Hey, man, that's exciting, man. Whenever you get close to wrapping up all that, man, if there's anything that I'll be able to post on my blog to expand that marketing on there, man, let me know, G.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I just want to thank you, Kosha, too, for, from the bottom of my heart, man, from the very beginning, like since it's twinkle in my eye, you've been looking out, you know what I'm saying? So thank you for that. We were able to raise about almost $2,000, about $1,700 we were able to raise to, get back into production through our GoFundMe and also through, private donations and contributions. So, yeah, I'm really excited for that. And I'll definitely be listening to that Kendrick. And, a lot of people have been hitting me up wanting me to write a review. And I'm going to write the review. The review's coming. I just have to get a little time, and I have to, be in the right space to really give it the words that it deserves, the review for this album.
Oh boy, there you go. See, all right, my boy, I like that. Congrats to the team. Definitely excited. Jimmy V, you guys obviously, off air could share connections or whatnot. I'll definitely catch you all up to speed about the whole Blue Collar Hustle thing it's amazing story and just the background behind it as well.
FTESWL.com.
Ziggy, please. We're about to wrap the show up, guys. We didn't rate this album. I don't know if we want to rate this show now that again, Jimmy is right. I look at numbers, guys, and when I say I look at numbers, I look at it by okay, Kendrick dropped an album. Can we be one of the first ones to review it? And again, it does do a disservice to the artist. I will not disagree with that. But it also helps the brand too, so that there's a.
Oh, of course, yeah, man. Trust me, I got my own blog, so I understand everything about how the game goes.
Yeah, there's a method to the madness, okay? And it's funny how a lot of the blogs and people were getting mad, and I know Ziggy would know this too, and I know you guys both understand. It's there's a lot of people who would rate this album. I saw a rating, I think it was. I don't want to say the publication, but they gave it a 3.5. I was like, damn. I know Ziggy's going to look at me like, you better not give it less than a 4.5. And I'm like, yo, hold on. And because I went hard on the J. Cole thing. And Ziggy, that was the last review that he had wrote, at least for FTESWL. And he gave that, I think you gave that a 4.5.
I did. I gave it a 4.5.
Yeah. So, and For Your Eyes Only, I was like, that's nowhere near a 4.5 to me. But I'm gonna let it rock. And so, for me, not understanding it does not mean I don't appreciate it. And so I'm gonna give it a solid 4. Do I believe? And this is the one thing, and we're gonna wrap it up, guys. So within the next at least 5 minutes, but next 2-3 minutes. For me, is it Kendrick's best work? And I think this is the biggest question that we haven't really hit on the head. I don't think it's Kendrick's best work. And I'm not saying that it is to come. I'm not saying that we've heard it already. But for me, I don't think it's the best work. And I don't know where I rank it amongst his albums yet, because I told you, Section 80, Good Kid, Mad City, especially those two, are I love those albums. I adore those albums, okay? And when I first heard Section 80, when I first heard Good Kid, Mad City, I was blown away. I wasn't too blown away by this album. Okay, To Pimp a Butterfly, there's a whole different feel for me on that. I loved the first single, and I know a lot of people didn't. And then we heard All Right, and then go and then Swimming Pools. Swimming Pools and all this and that. Our Swimming Pools was on Good Kid, Mad City, I believe. Yeah. So excuse me. So again, I'm not sure. I'm gonna give this a 4, a solid 4. I don't know where it ranks in its discography, but I just everything is rated high though for Kendrick on my personal list. Okay, so I'm giving it a 4. Jimmy V, your last words. Ziggy, your last words, and also please, tell the people where they can find you guys at.
Of course, I think on this album here, I've fallen in love with Good Kid, Mad City, just because I've learned, especially watching artists grow, and the bigger they get, their content begins to change. And I relate most to the content prior to the millions. Granted, they're already at a point of success, but it's a whole different type of content when they're talking about, Ferraris and mansions and all that stuff. So then Good Kid, Mad City is definitely my top album for Kendrick Lamar. Granted, this one is definitely up there. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars there. And I'm really interested to hear the feedback all this week of what everybody else thought. I've already seen interviews of Hot 977 labeling him the best rapper of all time, based on this album. And, a lot of people say different things. I just always appreciate hearing everybody's different perspectives on things. So it's going to be an interesting week as far as myself, I am your boy Jimmy V. Everybody knows they can reach me on Twitter and Instagram at Be Your Own Dad. Make sure you go check the blog, which I update daily, BeYourOwnDad.blogspot.com.
Yeah, for me, as far as an actual numbered rating, I'm hovering between two ratings that I'm probably going to go ahead and give you once I give you the review. Okay. Because everybody knows that when I write my reviews, I'm letting you know exactly why, I like or dislike an album or why I'm giving it this rating, what it means to me personally and what I feel like it means, as a work of art. So I'll probably wait until I give you guys the review, which hopefully will be sometime this week. Like I said, I got a very busy week, so I have time to really sit down and carve out time to write it because it's going to be something that's really a personal piece for me. But like I said, so I'm going to hold off on giving it a rating right now. Okay. But sometime this week you'll get it. Okay. Okay. And of course, I'm Ziggy, Alon J. Halls. You can catch me on Facebook, Alon J. Halls, for the show. You can catch us on Facebook, Blue Collar Hustle, Instagram, BCH_web series, and Twitter, BCH_web series.
Yes, and everybody knows who I am. I am Kosher. Again, gentlemen, thank you for your time. Ziggy, especially for your time again. My heart and just my thoughts go out to you and your loved ones, and I really do. We really, really, really do appreciate you coming on. I know Jimmy V did not know about that. I didn't know if he wanted to put it out there, so I didn't brief anybody. I didn't really talk about your situation. So I wanted to keep it personal. But again, man, so I thank you very much, Jimmy V. As always, bro. It's always a pleasure to have you on, and thank you for even. Again, guys, because it's Easter, so everybody's usually doing things with their family right now, and thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for coming on the show, guys, and everybody can check us out at FTESWL.com. Stay blessed, stay positive. We out.
We out.
We out.